We now come to an area that it's more theory than actual playing, and at this stage it doesn't make any difference to your playing at all, except that it's always in the music. This is called the time signature. Basically, the time signature is two notes placed right at the very beginning of the music. It's like a capital letter when you start a sentence. It's always there. It tells you basically two things, and it's done in a numbered form, two numbers, one on top of each other. The top number is the easiest one to understand, although it really relates to two things. First of all, if there's a 4 on the top, it means that there's 4 beats in each bar, which is easy to understand. It's a matter of just counting 4 beats, or tapping 4, or just following the 4 crotchets. The bottom number is the tricky one, because it's not a number, it's a fraction, and it relates to the fraction name of the note. To understand this, we have to look at a note that we haven't started yet. The longest note in Western music that's commonly used is called the semibreve. And you'll notice the difference between the semibreve and the minim. It doesn't have a stem attached. The semibreve, being the longest note, is referred to as the whole note. A good way of understanding what the whole means is to think of it as it represents a note that goes for the whole bar. It's got a whole bar of sound. The next note, the minim, is half as long in duration, so we call this a half note, a half bar of sound. And the crotchet, being half again, will be called the quarter note. The 4 on the bottom stands for this quarter note, the crotchet. So it's telling us that for every beat, we have a crotchet. So the whole fraction, 4 over 4, really means 4 quarters. And the quarter represents the quarter note, so there's 4 quarter notes in each bar. So 4/4 basically means 4 crotchet beats per bar. A crotchet beat being a crotchet that equals 1 beat. Right, we're now about to continue with section 7. Well, this is book 1A, beginning of the Pieroni sight reading piano method. More will be said about sight reading. But I think students are starting to appreciate what is required for sight reading. A lot of pieces, a lot of music that they don't necessarily study to the nth degree. Music that they don't need somebody to play to be able to understand how to read it. Something they can play straight away within a moment of looking at it and then straight away playing it. The art of sight reading. Up till now, we've been using the middle 3 fingers, 2, 3 and 4. The middle fingers of the hand. Now we're going to start using what I call the inner 3 fingers, because these are the 3 fingers that are in between the 2 hands, 1, 2 and 3. So what needs to happen is that the C, D and E need to be changed from 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2 and 3, called the substitute. When a finger replaces another finger on the same note, I call it the substitute. So middle C, D, E on the right hand in the treble will now become 1, 2, 3 finger, the inner fingers. The left hand will do the same. In the low octave, the 4, 3, 2 now will be replaced with the 3, 2, 1. Simply moving the hand over slightly. And you'll notice that we have to start using the thumb. And the thumb basically is the digit, I call it a digit, that plays flat on its side. There's no fingertip. Not at this stage anyway. No fingertip required. Straight down on the key, flat position of the thumb, depending on how long it is. the other two fingers are basically coming down on their fingertips. So we have the inner two fingers on the middle octave, low octave, and now they go up together at the same time, as in butterfly. We still refer to this finger arrangement as symmetrical fingers. They are exactly the same finger numbers. Butterfly, up so high. Pick the hat on my hat. Pick the hat just like that. Blackbirds in the tree. Watch them quickly flee. Blinding eye through the sky. Up so high will you try. There is a repetitive nature in the Pieroni method. It's done on purpose. It has a place in the learning process. When one rote learns, one constantly repeats the same piece over and over. In fact, not just the same piece, but small parts, what I call the micro-study, many times, and learns how the whole piece goes, even if they don't read the music. They teach themselves. But it's very repetitive. I do a lot of repetition in the sight reading stage because I invoke another aspect that's very important in learning to sight read. Not just learning to read, but to sight read. Pattern recognition and also the hearing aspect, the oral response. It's important that you start to learn the language of music. You must be able to hear what you're playing and remember what you've played before. You have the same tune repeating itself many times. It'll change articulation, it'll change octaves, it'll change fingering. Things will change around it, but you'll still recognise that tune. When you hear hot cross buns, it doesn't matter whether I play hot cross buns in the middle, I might play it in the high octave. I might change the key eventually, which we've yet to learn, and I might go. And once you've settled into that, oh, it still sounds like hot cross buns. I might even do it on 3 black keys, but it's still recognisable. Not if I do this to it. Then, of course, you'll hear straight away those notes just don't sound right. The inner 3 fingers is new, but everything else is not new. So all we have to do is make adjustments, slight little adjustments. A lot of learning is done through slight adjustments. Was so small, rats would eat him, hat, Jerry Paul was so small, he came back and threw them. There's somebody listening to Jerry Hall, it sounds like, well, I've heard you practice that before. But you know yourself that you're not doing it the same way. You've changed it. And there's new learning to be done. Bouncing ball, bounce so high, watch it bounce. Not as much as before, but there still is enough. And there's one more. Tic-tac-toe, my first go, 3 red balls all in a row. Throw one up, throw one down, throw one on the cold. And for some, they don't need a great deal of practice and study. They can go through that fairly quickly. Others just need a bit more time. Everybody to their own learning pace. You notice every single one of those songs have got the time signature at the front, the 4/4, 4 crotchet beats in each bar. Not that we have crotchets all the way through. Of course, there's crotchet rest to replace the crotchet. And in Sticky Honey, two minims in each bar replaces the 4 crotchets. 2 minims make, 2 crotchets make a minim. Sticky honey, when it's hot, it's runny. Just keep in mind that you're playing inner fingers and not the middle fingers, which is easy to slip out of. So you have to be constantly reminded in the method it does, it tells you all these songs are inner fingers. This is Fred the donkey, he is very wonky. And while you're still learning this rhythm, the minim, keep doing your wrist bending. Rest. Of course, when you know this song, there's no need for that. Yeah, the ones who are just a bit more energetic can play, of course, a little bit faster. The microstudy needs to also be practiced in using the inner 3 fingers. Remember, all this is new. The music's not new, the notes are not new. It's the inner 3 fingers as opposed to the middle 3. Mary had a microstudy, the reverse microstudy. On my head, on my nose, just a thought that I suppose, inside out, outside in, see if you can make it speak. You'll notice that every song I've done so far, I've sung the words. Why? Well, I'll mention it. These are songs. Here is On My Head. It's not a song. Okay, you might say, well, fair enough. Sounds okay to me. I think when you think about what I'm trying to teach you, you're missing the point. A song is not about learning how to sing. Is to develop your ears, not your voice. You might have a terrible voice and you're not going to become a singer. You're going to develop your ears, which you need for music, as a musician, as a reader of music. And I can't get into your head to find out if you're listening to your music, but I can hear it in your voice. So if you sing On My Head like this, on my head, on my nose, just a thought that I compose, inside out, outside in, see if you can make it spin. You've got a long way to go to develop your ears. So keep working on it, it'll come.